Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Canton podcast. We're on episode 2 today, and now that you kind of know us a little bit better, we won't worry too much about introductions. For those of you who didn't join us last week, we're a married couple who works real estate in Canton, Georgia, but mostly we're just two people who want to explore Canton a little bit with you and make sure that you love it as much as we do. So,
absolutely.
Eric, you want to kick us off by just kind of chatting about what you've been up to this week, and then I'll do the same?
I mean, today, it's always a busy week in real estate, but this past
true.
week has been especially busy getting
Yeah.
clients under contract, helping out team members with their contracts, walked a piece of land, got covered in poison ivy.
Oh my God, I forgot about your poison ivy. That has been the drama of the week in the Valor household.
There's
for
just
sure.
something about skin rashes that I don't like.
I'm telling you, I think Eric is the most allergic to poison ivy of anyone that I've ever met. Either that or he
Yeah.
just loves calamine lotion. I will come home after he's walked a piece of land and like his whole legs are pink. It's like he's slathered bubble gum all over the place,
Well,
but seems to help. So
I need to relieve that. It's either that and try and stop it, or I take a bath full of oats. You
Wow.
know? That's the
Yes.
only thing that helps me. It's crazy.
This is marriage, folks. I mean, you love each other in sickness and health, right?
Yeah.
And through poison ivy and non-rash times, I guess.
Exactly. What about you, Kay? What have you been up to?
What have I been up to? I feel like it's also been a really busy week for me. We've got a few upcoming listings. I feel like inventory is really starting to increase again, or at least we're getting more phone calls than I'm used to for about this week in the year. I feel
Yeah.
like a lot of times this time of the year, people are thinking more about vacation, and
Yeah.
only the people that have been planning on moving are the ones that are calling me, or I'm calling them and we're getting things set up. But I feel like I've gotten several more than I'm used to, and other than that, oh my gosh, other than that, I'm sad about our garden. That's
Yeah.
been the main thing on my mind. I feel like our garden was going so well in the spring. I was so proud of us. I mean, we planted our first flower garden ever at our house this year, and
Yeah.
it was beautiful. We had tea olive here and gardenias here.
And can I
and
just say
azaleas
that was
there.
a trial in itself.
Yeah, putting that in our backyard was rough. You can go ahead and explain why. But
I mean, we decided to take the whole entire project on ourselves. Sure, we could have hired a professional, but what's the fun in that, right?
we're great at this, right? We know what we're doing.
I would definitely say hire a professional next time.
Definitely hire a professional.
But anyways, we went at it on our own, and we called a couple of friends, and we were just out there, shovels, pickaxes, like it was an operation.
It turns out we basically live on bedrock is what we discovered. So we got a lot stronger that day, and maybe some permanent nerve damage to like elbows as we're like trying to chop down at
honestly,
the land. But
really good piece of plot area right there that we ended up planting in.
Okay, yes. So I feel like after all that, after all the struggle, we actually put in a really beautiful garden. I was really happy with everything, and I feel like our flowers were blooming really well for a while. But now the leaves are like turning yellow, like they have gotten some sort of sickness. And I've done some research. I think we need to just increase the nitrogen or something in the soil.
Yeah.
I don't know plants. Being near them kills them. I'm not to be trusted. So the fact that they lived this long is wonderful, but we definitely need to do some first aid on them, I think.
For sure.
And maybe it's the heat, right?
Maybe it's the heat.
Just that it's hot.
Maybe we planted a spring garden and it's becoming summer,
Maybe. Well, if anyone has really good gardening tips and you're like the friend with the green thumb that everyone turns to, please be our friend with the green thumb, because
we'll take it.
We could use one. We've already used our friends up for the manual labor for putting in the garden, and none of them know how to take care of it. So I would love any advice you have. It's been so nice to have it in the backyard. So
it has been really nice, just like an impact on morale, be able to look out the window, see something pretty. It's great.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of impacts on morale, I know we always do the segment that's what's the best thing we ate or drank around Canton this week, and my emotions are directly tied to my stomach. So we could probably talk about that next. Do you want to start us off? What is the best thing that you ate or drank around Canton this week?
So this past week, I got to say, my favorite restaurant we stopped by was Willinson Brothers Barbecue.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Oh my gosh, over there at Merida Highway. Really great Southern food. Barbecue. My favorite that we get there is the pounded chicken, get the nice marinade on it. And honestly, the coup de grace there is the macaroni and cheese.
I knew you were gonna say that. Yeah. I love the macaroni and cheese.
It's so soft and creamy and fantastic. I could go there every week for every day of the year.
Yeah,
you know?
our favorite order when we go there is we don't like order the meals or anything that they offer. We like to go and we get a pound of chicken, a pound of beef, and then the macaroni and cheese. And then sometimes we'll get our buns through Williams and Bros. And then sometimes we'll just like go to Kroger or Publix and pick up a bag of like the soft, good barbecue.
If you want to get like
buns.
the bonus buns, like the brioche.
Exactly.
Like that sort of fancy.
We love doing that. And then honestly, I hate to cook. Sorry, I do. He is the better cook in the family. And so the longer we can get a meal to last, the better. So we love doing that and bringing all that like meat home and being able to turn it into sandwiches or put it on.
So long, you know?
Put it with potatoes or whatever. Like it feels like it's a different meal most days as long as you find little ways to use it. But that's a really good one.
Yeah, so that was my pick for this week. How about you, Kate?
What was my pick for this week? Oh, right. Okay. Pita. That is my pick for this week. And I know that this is not a Canton exclusive. And really, I mostly want to highlight just local businesses around Canton. But Pita Mediterranean street food, I have been loving their food recently. I feel like it took me a really long time in life to become, to break the shell of picky eater.
All right.
But now that I'm outside of it and I've, I'm willing to try pretty much any food, Mediterranean food has turned into one of my favorites. And I think pita is actually really decent Mediterranean food, especially for like a chain style restaurant around Georgia.
I love pita so much. It's really good. The portion sizes are huge.
Yes, that's what I was going to say is like Williams and Bros, I feel like it's one of those restaurants where you can go in and you get your meal, but you're also getting your next meal too. Yeah. Because I almost never finish. I usually get the gyro bowl. I used to get the steak fries and those were so good. Yeah. But when I'm being a little more health conscious, I get the gyro bowl and it's delicious. It's got this great tzatziki sauce on it.
Yeah.
And then the meat's incredible and the rice is really good too. And it comes with this like garlic pita bread. So you've still got that like extra flavor to put in there. So that's one of my favorites. What are you ordering these days from pita?
I get the Euro platter.
Okay,
which is basically what you get, except it's a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
And also it comes with a side. And that could be fries, it could be whatever you want. I get the red pepper hummus.
Right. Yeah.
Because I like to make it extra creamy around.
Well, that's why I like the bowl too. I feel like we put it in the bowl. Like I put the tzatziki sauce in and everything and mix it all up, and then everything's so creamy and good. And it warms up really nicely too. Like sometimes I feel like when you get like creamy sauces and stuff like that,
it could like get gross,
getting sketchy
in a rough way,
like mayonnaise vibes. You know?
No,
but
a little bit of separation. No, thank you.
I've really been enjoying pita recently. I feel like whenever we have kind of like a night where we're like, hey, I don't want to cook and you don't want to cook, where should we go?
I know, right?
It's been either like Williams and Bros or pita.
It's a great one because it's the dinner, and like you said, it's also potentially the breakfast.
Yeah, my favorite is to go and get it for lunch and then have the leftovers for dinner. That way it's like a continuation of the joy, and you're not cooking for the rest of the day.
Great pick, honestly.
Yeah. The next thing that I know we always try to highlight a little bit is just talking about some of our insights into real estate that have felt really important this week as we've talked with clients, just because I know real estate, when you're not in the industry, feels so different than when you're actually working in it. So I love to use our platform for giving good advice and making sure people understand things the way that we get the chance to every day.
Absolutely, right?
So do you want to talk about like the first thing that we were kind of discussing this week?
Absolutely. So I think, to start it off, why staging a house
that's
makes a world of a difference when it comes to being on the market, photos, the whole 9 yards.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Do you want to start?
Sure.
Okay, go for it.
So, I mean, other than, of course, immediately increasing how people can perceive your property as far as value goes, it helps people be able to think of themselves inside your house that you're trying to sell.
And before we get too much further talking about staging, I really want to define like what it even means to us, because staging can mean a ton of different things.
And it's a slider, you know? You can minimally stage, you can maximally stage.
Yep. Sometimes staging can literally just refer to decluttering and getting the home ready for people to walk through. If you already have really nice furniture, if you already have, a pretty photo ready space, then staging can truly just mean fluffing up the pillows and putting the right color blanket or removing the blanket entirely to create clean lines, or making sure there's only one thing per kitchen counter instead of 6 things, basically pretending that you live in a magazine catalog instead of in an actual house. That's the first level of staging. But some teams, and you know what I really recommend is like if you have an empty house or you it goes all the way to that extreme of actually bringing in furniture and staging the entire home so that you don't walk in and go, ooh, no one lives here. There's probably going to be a weird smell. Ugh, why is no one living here? Like, did they leave because of a condition issue? Like, all of us have walked through houses, you know, when we're buying one and gone, why? Why is it empty? Like, it just creates a weird feeling.
Even just on a physical level, right? All that furniture helps create a little bit of noise suppression. So it's not as echoey.
That's a great point.
And that helps the feeling of the showing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I would just say as far as staging, when it comes to our team, we're always emphasizing how important it is because I've seen too many houses that leave money on the table just because they didn't take an afternoon to go and clean up the house. Exactly. And so then it felt cluttered in pictures. Now, we are not going to judge. Like, that's the other thing I will say is when you're choosing a real estate agent, make sure you choose someone you feel comfortable with and who can tell you, hey, dude, like, that is a really cool motorcycle poster, but your house is going to sell for less. Like, and be able to have an open, candid conversation about what's going to appeal to buyers and what isn't. Because I think having that rapport makes a big difference so you don't end up feeling insulted at the end of the day.
Exactly.
Like, our house, so not photo ready now. I would have to do a ton, and you would have to do a ton.
I would have to do a ton as well. Take down the personal items, you know, make it more of a cookie cutter template than something that's personal to you. And that helps, like I said earlier, the next person coming in be able to project themselves on the home.
Exactly. And the other thing about making it seem like it is the cleanest and easiest house in the world to live in is people go through and they're like, wow, I'm going to be this clean and everything's going to be so lovely and I'll never have dishes in the sink again if I move to this place. So we're just kind of presenting that image and helping people visualize the best case scenario of living in your house, if that makes sense.
And staging is like great. Absolutely, if you can do it, but it's not necessarily like gonna sink the house.
Like, you can if it's an empty house,
you can still sell a house if it's empty, but you're not gonna get as much money as you would. If it were staged.
Exactly. And when we talk about that, I kind of refer to new construction when we're trying to decide with a homeowner if they want to actually bring in furniture and, you know, do all of that, because it is a lot of logistical effort and sometimes deals with timelines. Like, if someone really wants to get something on the market fast, staging may be an option still, but it might not be like full out staging.
Or if you're going on the market in a time where that furniture is going to have to sit there for a little bit. If you're going on the winter months and you think it's going to be on the market for 1, 2, 3, whatever, how many months, oftentimes the staging furniture is there on a contracted period.
So all just things to think about. But basically, we just wanted to talk a little bit about what the word staging even means in real estate, because we throw it out all the time. Like, I know in our brochures, it's like, staging will make your home sell for X% amount more. And it's true, but it also has different meanings for different homes and how much of an extent your home needs to be staged.
Just like Kate's saying, different homes need different levels of staging. And it's all a slider, and that's why someone like us can help, you know, illuminate that area.
And it's all okay. If your house needs a lot of staging, we are not judging you. No. Our house needs a lot of staging. So we totally understand. And honestly, the more kids you add in, the more, you know, like cool projects you've done in the house. Like, if you have a workshop down in the basement, that's amazing. We want to call attention to it, but that sometimes means, you know, decluttering a little bit.
100%.
So that's that on staging. We also wanted to talk about interest rates, since obviously those have been a huge topic of conversation for the last, you know, about a year now since they started to really creep up. And, you know, I have a few things I want to say, but mostly I just kind of wanted to reiterate what I think people aren't talking about enough, in that the interest rates we're seeing now feel so incredibly high compared to the 2.75s and stuff we were seeing for a little bit. But when we look historically, we still are not anywhere near how high things have been, even in the memory of one generation back.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just look at the early 80s, right? Yeah. We had a interest rate, like nominally, of around like 16%. Think of that, 16%
is crazy. And like, I will add, obviously 16% on a house that probably cost $80,000 or something is substantially different. So I'm not at all trying to compare apples to apples, but it is very interesting to consider that even though they feel high now, at least they're not where they were then. And the other thing that I want to throw out is, like, a 7% interest rate can feel very high, but there are options to bring it down.
Exactly.
Like if you want to pay for points and you have a little bit more cash up front, or you want to ask for closing costs from the seller to help buy down your rate, a lot of people are doing that, and that's helping make it work, at least in the short term. Permanent rate downs, buy downs are always safer. Temporary buy downs are less expensive, of course, but just, I really want to communicate that you want to talk with your lender and make sure it's a lender you trust, so that when you're having those conversations, they're really looking out for your best interest. Because it really can make a huge difference in making sure you are actually happy with the house that you bought.
Exactly. And understanding maybe where you think rates are going to be going in the future too, right? Because, I mean, recently rates have been staying pretty constant with a potential slight decrease forecasted for later this year. And we'll see if it happens with inflation and everything. That's up to the Fed. We're just living in it.
They're trying to keep it, I think they said at about 2% or so.
2% inflation, which this past month has been pretty good for them. That being said, going into a loan and thinking that, I'll just refinance it down the line is maybe not the best strategy.
Yeah, I get really worried, especially when my first-time buyers say that, just because I think that's, in theory, a really great idea, but I would hate to count your chickens before they hatched and end up with a payment that's too high as taxes are increasing and everything too. Like, tax bills just came out for Cherokee County, and for a lot of people, their mortgages are now going to increase because their taxes have increased.
By hundreds of dollars in some instances.
I think ours was like $180 increase or something. That is substantial. And number one, make sure you contest it if you think your home is not actually worth that amount. Although, surprise, it might be. I mean, Cherokee especially has increased substantially in the last 2 years.
There's a myriad of companies. There's specific companies that can do it. Your local real estate agent can do it. We can do it.
Yeah, we can help look and see what comps are looking like on your home and
help
assist
you
with
come
that.
to a conclusion.
And at least get an idea of if it's accurate potentially, or if they've way blown your value out of the park, because there are, you can contest it if you feel it's unfair. So,
and that's also something else to keep in mind, keeping up with the value of your home.
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely a good idea. So if your agent is not sending you CMAs every so often or whatever, come to us. We will help you. Or just ask them. If you really liked your agent, I highly recommend, staying with them and just asking, hey, how much do you think I could sell my house for? I'm not looking to sell, but just what kind of value am I sitting on? Because for some people, at least having access to a home equity line of credit is interesting, even if you want to avoid using it if you don't have to take out a loan. So all that, as far as interest rates go, I guess the whole point of the story is no matter what interest rates are, make sure your payment is affordable, and that an increase based off of taxes or an increase in your home insurance or something like that, make sure it will not send you into a panic, because life happens. Your house will increase in value. That's part of the reason you wanted to buy it in the first place. And you want that to always feel like a good thing and not a scary thing. Does that about sum up what kind of you wanted to talk about today?
No, absolutely. And I think hammering home that point, like getting into the real estate market, like at least have a hook in, right? So that you can ride the wave up or wherever it goes, right? But if you're not actually in it, then you're just seeing the wall get higher and higher, and it's harder and harder, at least mentally, to be able to like break into it.
There was a quote I was looking at today, and I don't know if it exactly applies, but it's now ringing around my head, so I'm going to say it. And it's, quit looking for a needle in a haystack and just buy the haystack. Like, I think for a lot of people, they're looking for the deal in this market, and the best deal was 5 years ago. And that's always been the case in real estate. You know what I mean? So just the longer you wait, I think at least with all the growth I'm seeing happen in Cherokee County and all the road expansion they're doing and all the new construction that's going in, waiting is probably not going to be your best option, is my opinion. Now, we can't foresee everything, obviously. No. But I do think, at least if we look at historical increases, it's a good idea to get your foot in the door as soon as you can, as long as you're putting yourself in a good financial position.
I mean, I was looking at our local MLS earlier today, and like the median household price is $400,000. $400,000.
That's wild.
For a lot of first-time home buyers, that's absolutely not approachable.
Yeah. Exactly. And what makes me sometimes feel a little sick is like when we're listing a home for, let's say it's $350 and it still has pretty decent condition issues or whatever. I mean, that happens all the time.
But because that's what the comps show, that's what the home is it's worth that much.
Exactly. And so as a buyer, I guess my recommendation for first time buyers is talk with a lender you know and trust, talk with an agent you know and trust, and really make a plan. Like, go in with your eyes open and know your level of ability when you're going to buy a house. Like, if you're not a big DIY person, make sure that you have someone in your corner or have someone who's going to give you good affordable prices to fix up the parts of the home that you need, or buy something that doesn't need as much fixing up if it's still within your price range. So I wish I had better advice than that, but it really comes down to a personal consultation to see what makes the most sense. We've had some really good success with first time home buyers this year in making sure, payments are low with either 0% down payments or 3% down payments or, things like that. Like, you can even get a 3% down payment on a conventional loan in a lot of cases. So eventually that PMI can go away versus the 3.5% FHA, but it's just all going to be a person by person basis.
And Kate, why would I want to go in with like a conventional loan rather than like an FHA or something?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there are a few different reasons. The conventional itself, one of the main reasons is that PMI will eventually go away. PMI standing for private mortgage insurance. Basically, you're just paying extra money every month for insurance for the lender because you haven't put down a substantial amount of money. Their collateral is less strong.
Exactly.
So the fact that PMI will go away with a conventional loan once you reach that like 20% threshold-ish is great, because then your payment may go down enough to combat all the increase in taxes you've experienced, in the time you've owned it, versus FHA. It's stuck with it for the duration of the loan. And there are some advantages with FHA, like the interest rates tend to be slightly lower sometimes, but it's just a person by person basis. Again, I'd speak with your lender to clarify which one makes the most sense for you. The other,
100%.
With the one other thing to add about an FHA loan is that there are sometimes repair requirements that also come along with an FHA loan when the appraisal is being conducted, and that's way less common with a conventional loan.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there anything else you'd add there?
And as going off of those repair requirements, like, those are good provisions to have as a buyer, right? They're meant to be there to protect you, to make sure you're moving into someplace that's great. But they're just not as competitive sometimes.
Right. So if you're submitting an offer you finally found that needle in the haystack, right? Like, you finally found one for $325 and it's a great house, but man, it's missing a handrail.
Yeah.
Sometimes that matters. And a seller may look at your offer and go, ooh, FHA sometimes really has an issue when there's not a handrail and I don't have the money to put in to fix this. And so then if there's a nice juicy conventional offer sitting right next to it, it can end up making you...
Or, I mean, even just not conventional, like cash.
Yeah, cash, absolutely. Because that's the other thing. If it's a non-HOA neighborhood, there are a lot of cash buyers that are buying up investment properties, and they are competing with first-time home buyers.
Exactly.
So, anyway,
oh boy.
All that to say, I know that went slightly doom and gloom, so I just want to reiterate, it is possible to buy a house.
Yeah.
It is a great financial choice for most people to buy a house. It just takes planning, it takes forethought, and it takes a good team. So make sure you're working with people you like and trust, who have your financial well-being and your happiness at the forefront of the deal.
All right. Sounds good.
The final thing I kind of wanted to talk about, which kind of plays in a little bit to some of the stuff we've been talking about, but it's from a seller perspective, why pricing your home too high will leave money on the table.
That is an excellent point, honestly. Let me just form it up in as short of a sentence as I can. If you price too high, no one will want to see your home.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I always tell my sellers, pretend you're buying your house right now. And we go and we do a search, and we look at, okay, this is a 4-bedroom house close to downtown Woodstock. It was built in 1995 and we're in a non-HOA area. And we've got 2,400 square feet. Yeah. Let's look and see what's similar. And when we're finding the comps I pulled or the active competition feels substantially nicer at the price point the sellers want to list, why would the buyers buy your home at that price?
Exactly.
Versus if you are the best or equal to the other homes at the price range that you're listing at, you're way more likely to actually get an offer and have a buyer be excited about your home, or multiple buyers be excited about your home, keeping your days on market low and your competition high.
And that days on market is a really important point as well, because, I mean, personally, as an agent, if I see a home that has 60, 90 plus days on the market is blood in the water, right?
Yeah.
You're going to be getting offers that are below your asking point,
Yep.
probably below what was recommended even.
Yep.
And then you're going to be walking away with less than you would have.
Yeah, we have
going on at the
we
right
have sellers
price.
a decent bit who go, I'm not really in any rush, so can we just try
Yeah.
this? And my answer to that is, I am here to serve you, first of
Yes.
all, but I wouldn't be doing you a proper service if I didn't tell you that I think after about 60 days of sitting at this price,
Yeah.
you're going to want to make a price decrease to the price that I originally recommended, because we're going to get one showing every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And you're going to feel too overpriced. Those are going to be the people who you happen to fall into their stretch range,
Yeah.
or they can go higher and you're now the worst home
Yeah.
in their bracket. And we don't want either one of those situations.
No, exactly.
So almost always you'll end up making a price decrease after a substantial amount of days. And then once you've made a price decrease online, that's an indication that you're motivated,
Yeah.
right? So it's always
Exactly.
better to price accurately right away when you can, and keep your days on market low so that you don't start to seem desperate.
Yeah. And while you might go into the process thinking like, oh, I have plenty of time, your timeline will only shrink from there, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like dating. People always say that, right? Like
Yeah.
when other people seem to like your house seems more attractive, right?
Exactly.
Like when your buyer's agent goes to schedule a showing and they go, oh, there are only 4 spots left
Yeah.
today, when they tell you that, or when you show up and someone's leaving and someone's chasing you out the door.
Or when we're on the scheduling application and we see there's 13 book showings for the next 2 days, like what happened on one of our recent listings.
that did happen on one of our recent ones.
Cool.
But just basically saying there's a whole psychology behind this that when sellers don't consider, I feel like they leave money on the table. So it's our
Exactly.
job to educate them. And since you're not actively sitting with us at a listing appointment, this is our version of trying to tell you and give you the background knowledge so that you can walk away with the most amount of money possible
Exactly.
when you go to sell.
Yeah.
So
I think that's a great point.
that's all the little real estate tidbit
All right.
stuff I've got today. So we'll get a little lighter again.
All right,
And I
sounds
wanted
good.
to focus back in on Canton and just kind of do our typical segment on the best date idea recommendation
date
you have
idea
for this
area.
weekend. Yeah. So
Okay.
What
Well,
would
I
you
think-
recommend?
Well, what would I recommend? I think I want you to go first this time.
Okay. Well, last week we did walking around downtown with Bazaar, and
Yeah.
yours was bowling.
Yes.
So going off of that, I wanted to go a little bit more into downtown, but maybe an evening date this time instead of like a
Okay.
coffee date in the morning. And I really like the idea of catching a movie or a performance at the Canton Theater.
Oh, yeah.
And then eating maybe downtown kitchen, getting a steak there. I really like the ambiance in downtown kitchen. I think
Really?
it's got this like really nice candlelight / tavern. Like it lands
Yeah.
somewhere really in that like
It's a good
dark,
vibe.
moody vibe that
Okay.
feels really nice for an evening date. And then the Canton Theater, when you're looking stuff up for it right now, because I was looking to see what was upcoming, keep in mind that they're running kids programming right now.
Well, I mean, it's the summer,
exactly.
so, there's more availability there.
Yeah, they're offering $1 movies for kids or
That's
for full
awesome.
families. I think during the
Full
summer,
families for $1?
It's like no, I think it's $1 per person, but
Well, I mean, still,
for
it's like
family-oriented
$5
movies,
or
and they're playing things like Megamind and
What?
I think some of the Harry Potter movies and like Disney movies, like new Disney movies.
That's
so
absolutely amazing.
really fun if you're with the
Yeah.
family, but then date night still exists.
Okay.
They've got things like I think there's an orchestra coming, or they're
Oh.
doing like classic film showings if you want to get a little retro.
Yeah.
So that would be
That's
probably
so
my
neat.
recommendation for this week as sort of a memorable lean into the history of Canton kind
Yeah.
of thing and do something that, you can go to the movie theater anytime, but going to a cool old historic theater and getting
Yeah.
dinner downtown and maybe even grabbing like an ice cream afterward at a cone to pick. Like,
Making
I
an
think that
evening
seems
of
fun.
it,
Yeah.
That's fantastic. That's a really good one.
I think so too.
Mine's a little bit more humble, if you will. Go to the park, Etowah River Park to be precise. Gorgeous landscape,
Yeah.
open areas, have yourself a picnic, walking pathways, trails. It's got it all. I also really like Etowah River Park because it connects to another park called Heritage. It goes across the Etowah. Really fun little boardwalk area there. And they're actually expanding Heritage Park into the mill area, even
Wow.
further down.
Wait, I didn't know that. That's wild.
Yeah. I mean, they're
That's
working
very
their way
cool.
down the river. So it's going to be something really awesome.
That's amazing. When I think of Etowah River Park, the main thing I think of is we do the Chick-Fil-A 5K there. Or we did it last year. We're planning on doing it again. I'm so afraid of this year. Last year we did such a good job. We were running with my dad. I was feeling good. I was like, oh, I can jog a 5K if necessary. There is a solid chance I die this year. I'm not convinced I'm going to make it. How are you feeling about it? It's going to be in the dead of August.
Yeah.
I'm already more sweat than human at this point in the year. I don't know what I'm going to be by August.
I mean, you know how I am. I am definitely more on the nervous side on this one because we have done zero prep so far. For reference, we're in like the middle of June.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we've got some time, but we are not using it wisely.
No, we don't have enough time really to get up to par. But it'll be fine.
It's gonna be fine. What, the worst case scenario, we walk it? I mean, I guess there's a real chance that happens, but we really need to get on it. Our next date night really does need to be Etowah River Park. Go for a run, see what our baseline is, and go from there. Because
it's a deal then.
I'm getting anxious. I'm getting stressed.
Yeah.
But I am excited. I do like doing that run every year. It ends up being a really good crowd most of the time. So
it's a good time, good activity with friends. Maybe take the family. Honestly,
yeah, we're gonna do it with my dad. And he and our friends who helped us do the garden and my dad, for those of you who had him as your high school teacher, Senor Huller, shout out. He is a really good runner. He did like
wild
cross country in college.
He ran against Lance Armstrong, didn't he, in like college?
Yeah, they did a triathlon or whatever together. So Lance is the athlete, right? I always get Lance Armstrong and Ian Armstrong mixed up, and I can't remember which one. Whichever one did not walk on the moon and which did do the cycling is the one that Dad ran against. I'm sure you're right.
Neil Armstrong is the one on the moon.
Okay, then who's Ian?
There's no Ian Armstrong.
I mean, there probably is. With an Ian Armstrong. I'm doing really great, guys. I probably had too much coffee today. But anyway, so he is a really good runner. I'll get notifications on my watch all the time being like, Jay just ran 7 miles or whatever. And I'm like,
he runs a 5K every other day. This man's made of different stuff.
Yeah, he is very impressive. And I did not inherit it genetically. I darn it. But anyway, I definitely think we should go and practice for that. Because I know we're going to get showed up by my dad, but I'd at least like to be able to greet him at the finish line and not have passed out halfway through.
Sounds good. It's a date.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Well, I guess we now move on to the next area, which is couples trivia.
This one always makes my adrenaline race. I'm like, okay, here we go.
How do you want to do this one? You want to do all 3 of yours first, and then I do all 3 of mine? Or
sure. Yeah, we can do that. I think that's good anyway, because I kind of went with like a theme.
Oh,
this
okay.
week.
Well, please.
My theme is pets.
Pets.
And all the questions that I have about my childhood with pets.
Okay.
So, number 1, we'll start easy, hopefully.
Okay.
What was my first cat's name?
First cats.
Well, like my cat, like my personal cat that I loved and who loved me.
Well, I mean, I'm going to have to go with Woozle.
Yes, you're exactly right. Yeah. Bonus point. Do you know where I got the name Woozle?
It's from the Winnie the Pooh, right?
Yes. It's that weird, like they had like the Woozles and Heffalumps or whatever in it.
Over my head.
For some reason, I thought that the Woozles or whatever looked like a cat. So I was probably like 4-year-old me thought Woozle was a cute name and it stuck.
Well, 4-year-old you was correct.
4-year-old me was correct.
It's a really good name for a cat.
It was fun. It was funky. I've never heard of another cat named Woozle, so it definitely never got confused with anyone else at the vet. Okay, good job. Moving on up. What kinds of this? Okay, this one should have been my hard one. I think I've sabotaged you a little bit.
Please.
But what type of dog? 2 of them. Did my parents have when I was first born?
Golly, did they have Pomeranians?
Yes. Okay, good. I'm so impressed that you got that because that's it feels so distant. Even in my head, it feels made up because I was like so small.
Yeah.
When they had Foxy and Stormy. Because,
I would not have been able to name them.
I barely can. Like that's way back there in the recesses of my brain. So good job. Okay, and then finally, I think I brought this up a couple weeks ago, so maybe it's not hard after all. It randomly came up, but What kind of animal did I make multiple PowerPoint presentations to my parents trying to get as a child?
So we talked about this once, like 4+ years ago. So I would have never remembered it, but we did talk about it again recently with our friends, like a couple weeks ago.
It was on my brain.
That's probably why. It would be Huskies.
Yes, you're exactly right. Did I explain why, or why do you think I wanted a Husky?
Because they looked cool.
That's literally the only reason the whole logic piece wasn't really working.
Well, I mean, this is also young Kate, right? So that's obviously the biggest, triangle. Ooh, there you go.
Yeah, those are some great PowerPoints though. They had transitions. And
did they have any animations in them?
Effects. They had animations. I was trying to get myself a dog.
Absolutely. Well. You had your cat.
Yeah, it never worked. Mostly, I will credit this to the fact that my sister is extremely allergic to dogs. Yeah,
so you maybe don't want a dog.
Maybe I didn't want a dog. I think I ended up having slides on hypoallergenic mixes with Huskies that still look like Huskies or whatever.
That's so good.
I wasn't as convincing as I hoped I'd be. I never joined debate team, so.
Is Husky still your favorite breed of dog?
That's a good question. I don't know. We have gotten in our little cat area, I feel like I don't crave any kinds of dogs. I do like golden retrievers. I do like Huskies.
Italian greyhounds are adorable.
Okay, you're right. They are so goofy. They're such goofy dogs. There's definitely an affectionate place in my heart for the goofy style of dogs, right? Where you're just like, oh man, you look wild and you have no teeth.
All right. So you ready for my questions?
I don't know. Let's just go for it.
All right. Easy one is a softball, but you should be able to get this easy. That's what makes me the most
nervous is when I miss the easy. I think that's what happened last week. Okay.
All right. What is my favorite / most used hot sauce?
Valentina, Black Label.
Black Label, absolutely.
Yes, it can't be the normal Valentina. No. It has to be.
It's sweet.
It is not.
It's sweet.
Neither one is sweet. They are both spicy, and I want that on the record.
All right.
Actually, that makes me think, you're ready. I'm not ready. This Father's Day, we're doing the Hot Ones challenge with my dad. I am really so afraid. We did it for your birthday, and I was sobbing. There were tears streaming.
Well, so long as you don't touch your eyes, you'll be fine.
I have never eaten, what was it that I had? Limeade sherbet or something.
You had a rainbow sherbet.
Entire rainbow sherbet.
And that did not sit well.
No, it didn't. So I'm really worried about this weekend. It'll be fun, but I'm nervous about it. So anyway,
you'll be great.
Glad I got that right. And
you always rise to the occasion.
My little bonus thing is you like to pair your Black Label Valentina with tajin.
Really? So, what kind of tajin?
They're original. Are there types? Low sodium.
I get the low sodium because I'm looking out for my health.
Solid. Gold star for Eric.
Yeah.
Good job.
There's a lot of salt in that.
Yeah. Okay. What's the next one?
All right. Let's go with what was the... Okay, here. What is the name of my childhood black labs?
Sugar.
Sugar is correct.
Yeah.
Sugar is correct.
I only remember that because that's pretty much the only pet you talked about. You had so many
That's
pets.
actually going to be my next question. Can you name every type of pet I had?
No.
As a kid.
Okay.
Let's go through it. You can try.
Guinea pig.
All right.
Because you inherited that from a classmate. And then you had dogs.
Dogs, of course.
Obviously, you had cats.
Yeah.
Your dad had horses.
Yes.
This is where it gets sketchy, though. Because I don't know if you went into, the lizard zone or something that.
Did I go lizard?
I don't think you went lizard. I think that's where it stops, but maybe... No, I think you guys ate a rabbit one time. I don't think you
We also ate a rabbit once. It was a fryer rabbit. It was for Christmas, 2012 or something.
Okay, at least I didn't make that up.
It was a really good rabbit. We sourced it from a local butcher in Cartersville. It was a good time.
Did you guys ever have... You didn't have pigs or maybe you had goats?
We had goats at one point.
Yes.
We had 4 goats.
That feels like the extra hard level that I've just unlocked.
We started with 2 goats and then we had 4 goats total. And then we had no goats.
Did they die or did you eat them?
No, we didn't eat them.
Okay.
Maybe.
You ate a goat that one time.
We did eat a goat.
You did. Yeah. This is when we started dating and I was like, Whoa. I'm being definitely introduced to like a different culture here because they are for Christmas. What was it, Christmas or Thanksgiving?
It was Thanksgiving.
You guys, you buried and
cooked. So we made like an in-ground, like slow cooking
which is
oven.
So cool.
It's really good. I recommend it. It was slow cooked all day. Basically, you dig a hole, then you build up the middle a little bit so you can put like your tray where you have your meat that you want slow cooked, and then you surround it with like coals and stuff. And just let that go for hours and hours. It gets so tender. It's really
I bet
good.
It does. It's like barbecuing. I mean, we love barbecuing, obviously, but it's like barbecuing to the max.
Really good one. So
Did I miss any?
I'll go ahead and let you know. You didn't mention fish.
Oh, you had that whole aquarium of fish, and then you put too much goop in, and they died.
I also had a hamster.
Was that a different one than the guinea pig? Or
No,
did I
had
replace the guinea pig with the hamster?
Yeah. And then we also had bunnies.
You did have bunnies?
We did have bunnies.
When did you have bunnies? How old were you?
When we had the guinea pigs at the same time. They were in a shared enclosure. Were these all in
the Mount Olive church house?
Yeah.
I should have known you had bunnies.
It's all right.
Oh, well.
Better luck next time.
I still feel pretty good. The fact that I at least remembered goats feels good. And then I'm sad that I replaced the hamster with a guinea pig, but it is what it is.
You did great anyways.
Thanks.
Well done.
Well, that is all we have for today, unless there's anything you wanted to add. But thank you guys again for joining in for another episode of the Canton Podcast. Yeah. We will be back sometime soon. So far, we've had no regular schedule or anything like that. Yeah. So we'll see if we get super consistent or not. But so far, we've been really enjoying recording the podcast. I think it's fun to sit down and just chat for an hour. I feel like
I completely agree.
This is the most we've gotten to like directly talk in a while because we've been so busy.
We're going so fast, right? Yeah. But it's good. We'll make sure to go on that date in Etowah Park where we run.
Yes. And the other thing I'm going to do, I keep seeing this online, is like the little wrist weights or whatever. Like if you run with them, it's supposed to like tone your arms too. Right. So maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll add that on as a little we have the wrist weights, so we'll be good. So anyway, I hope you guys have a really good week. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. We love having you here. Make sure you stop at a local restaurant, enjoy something delicious in Canton this week, and let us know if you have any questions about real estate or Canton. We would love to help however we can.
Yep. Take care.
Bye.